Hey guys, have you ever wondered which team in the Northern Division has the best players in the center position? Well, if you have, grab a beer and relax because I've made a couple of small charts here and I took a look at every center in the Northern Division and compiled all their stats together for their respective teams, and we're going to analyze this data and talk about which teams in the Northern Division are currently getting the most production out of their centermen and which teams have centers that have been really struggling so far this season. So if you're interested in this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel as I upload hockey content daily and would really enjoy if you guys tagged along for the ride. Now, so before you take a look at the players I picked, please keep in mind, guys, that I mostly watch the Habs games. So obviously I know which players on their team play center through lines 1 and 4. Now as for other teams, I have a good idea of their centerman, but you know, this position is very difficult to play, and oftentimes when a centerman is struggling, the coach will decide to shift that player over to the wing and bring in another guy to fill the role. So I did some digging, and these are the names that I came up with. So if anybody catches a name here that they feel doesn't belong, let me know in the comment section and discuss how dramatically this would have changed things. But for the most part here, I think these are pretty accurate and we're going to get some decent results. You know, the guys that play on the fourth lines aren't going to make much of a difference here. So the picture you're seeing right now is the raw stats from each team that I compiled, and a little later we're going to have them in order from highest to lowest, both in points and goals, and get a good look at which team has the best centers right now. Now first, I started things off with the Habs here. It was an easy decision here as I watch every game. I know Danault has played every game this season as center, so has Nick Suzuki, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi has recently shifted to wing, but he's played like 96% of this season at center. And of course, Jake Evans was the fourth line center for the majority of the season as well. As for the Leafs, Austin Matthews, no-brainer. John Tavares, no-brainer. Alexander Kerfoot, no-brainer. These guys are the obvious ones, and for the fourth line center, I just plugged Engvall in there. So yeah, Leaf fans, don't be shy to let me know if his name should be kicked out of there and some other guy should be in. On the Oilers, I picked Connor McDavid, and I didn't throw Leon Draisaitl in there. I mean, the points would have been just insane, but Leon Draisaitl has spent a lot of time with McDavid this season, so I decided to put Nugent Hopkins as second, Kyle Turris as third, and Jujhar Khaira as fourth. As for the Jets, I went with Mark Scheifele, and now I know you guys are probably thinking, why didn't he throw Dubois in there? Well, we're going to talk about that a bit later. Dubois adds so much depth to this team, but for the majority of the season, we've seen Paul Stastny as their second line center. Lowry's been consistently their third center, and Nate the Great Thompson, a former Hab, he's been their fourth line center. As for the Flames, we've got Lindholm for their first line center, Sean Monahan as their second line center, Michael Backlund as their third, and Derek Ryan as their fourth line center. On the Habs, I picked Bo Horvat for first line center. That one was obvious. Elias Pettersson as their second line center, Brandon Sutter as their third line center, and Adam Gaudette as their fourth line center. Now, I know that he's been switched out of the fourth line center spot and moved to wing as well, but I decided to throw him in there. And Canuck fans, don't complain. He's got 4 goals. I mean, who else are you going to throw in there? Now on to the Sens. They've got Josh Norris as first line center, Chris Tierney as their second line center. We've got White as their third line center, and I picked Anisimov as their fourth. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's move on to picture number 2. And as you can see, now they're in order. So when we look at the goals for centermen in the Northern Division, the Leafs are at the very top. They've got 49 goals out of their centermen so far this season. Yeah, that is huge. And their top 2 centers, Austin Matthews and John Tavares, man, these guys are great defensively as well. And what impresses me the most is just how better Matthews has been with his defensive game so far this season. He's made some pretty significant improvements at his own end of the rink, that's for sure. Second is the Edmonton Oilers. They've got 40 goals out of their centermen. Next is the Winnipeg Jets. They've got 36, but There could be an argument to be made here about the Jets. As you know, Pierre-Luc Dubois is now into the mix as well. They have a really good group of centers on this team. Holy shit. I'm a huge fan of Lowry. Stastny has been an absolute badass on this team. Scheifele has been a beast. And while the Jets are in third place here, honestly, if you're asking me, I think they deserve to be right up there with the Leafs and the Oilers. Like, they've just got so much depth, it's definitely noteworthy. Now on to fourth place, we've got the Vancouver Canucks. And some of these fans are probably going to be shocked here, but they've got 34 goals out of their centermen. That's just 2 behind the Winnipeg Jets and 6 behind the Edmonton Oilers. So yeah, Canuck fans, that's not too bad. Next in line is the Calgary Flames with 26 goals, and I'm sure they're probably not happy with this, as they probably feel like Sean Monahan should definitely be putting out a little more production. And in 6th spot in the division, we have the Ottawa Senators. And their fans are probably in shock right now looking at this. They're like, holy shit. We're ahead of another team on a statistics chart? What the hell is going on here? Well, they are. They've got 25 goals from their 4 centermen so far this season. And in last place are my beloved Habs. And this is actually what inspired me to do this in the first place. I've been shocked with how little production the Habs centers have been putting up this season, especially when it comes to scoring goals. And to be honest, if Josh Anderson and Tyler Toffoli had never been brought to the Habs organization right now, I would hate to see where they would be without him. That's for sure. Now let's take a look over to the right here at the ranking by points. The Oilers have 111 points from their centermen. Actually more than the Leafs. That's probably crazy. Leaf fans are probably looking at this and wondering, what the hell? But don't get too upset, man. The guys got Connor McDavid on their team. Jeez. The Leafs are in second. They've got 105 points. And believe me, if you're above 100 points in this chart, you're doing pretty damn good. The Jets are next in line. They've got 87 points. The Flames are fourth with 84 points from their centermen. The Habs are in fifth now with 67 points from their centermen. So that tells me they're definitely getting a lot more assists. But when you look at some of their line mates like Tyler Toffoli, Josh Anderson, yeah, kind of makes sense, right? In sixth place, we have the Vancouver Canucks, who have 63 points, and the Ottawa Senators, who've got 57 points out of their centermen. But there is 2 dramatic drops here. One being from number 2 to 3, 105 points down to 87 points. That's a pretty big drop. And also from 84 points down to 67 points. Look at that. The Habs again are well below the Flames centermen. So yeah, just some food for thought here, guys. I just thought I'd make a video and share what I gathered out of this. But one thing we can say is that the Habs, honestly, I think Suzuki's going to get better. I think Kotkaniemi is going to get better. I don't know what's going to happen with Feldano, or even if he's going to be playing for the Habs next season. This guy isn't even signed yet. And it's the same scenario with the Canucks and the Sens. A lot of young guys that are going to get better. But looking at the points here, from team 4 right down to 7, the Flames, the Habs, the Canucks, the Sens, I don't think they're going to be able to compete with the Oilers or the Leafs or the Jets when it comes to centers over the next few seasons, unless something crazy happens. I don't know. I just can't see it happening. And you need a good center. You really do. You need at least one good center on your team that's good in his own zone, good on the face-off, and can put up some big points every season. And if I was to pick one team of the bottom 4 here that I just mentioned, of the Flames, the Habs, the Canucks, and the Sens, that may just maybe able to get one of their centers to reach a higher ceiling, I think the best chance of this happening is with the Vancouver Canucks. Maybe Bo Horvat takes another step, or maybe Elias Pettersson. Both of them are still very young. And as for the Habs, I don't know. I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith. I don't know why, but I am. And it scares me. It scares the hell out of me. Anyway, what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this information and your perspective of things. And as always, thanks for watching.